Okay, so welcome everybody. This is the Summer Litter Leaders Training for July 2024. Thank you guys all for coming. My name is Dawn Keyser. I'm the Program Director for Keep Durham Beautiful. I've been working with Keep Durham Beautiful since 2017. I started as an AmeriCorps service member, and after my service term was over, I worked part-time for a while. Left out over the pandemic a little bit and then came back on when they had the funding for a full-time position in 2021. So I've been doing this work in Durham for a few years now, and it's a lot of fun, and especially enjoy that we have this program now that we can share with you guys and get other people more involved. Let me see if it'll. All right, so try to decide if I want to do about KDB or talk to you guys first. I guess I'll do a little bit about Keep Durham Beautiful. For those of you that may not know, we are an environmental nonprofit. We're a 501c3 here in Durham, and we're turning 20 this year. So we've been active in Durham since 2024, and we have three main focus areas, and all of the work that we do falls somewhere under the umbrella of these three focus areas that are sort of prescribed by Keep America Beautiful, which is like our big umbrella organization. So we focus on litter prevention mainly through removal, waste reduction, and community greening. So all of those sort of come together under like a community beautification umbrella, and the work that we do is really important because we want to foster environmentally resilient, clean and connected neighborhoods in Durham by forming partnerships with organizations, businesses, individuals like you guys, neighborhoods and community partners, and leveraging resources so that we can help residents be a part of the changes that they want to see, which is another reason why we really like having you guys be part of this program. So we are all about empowering residents and people in Durham to be stewards of their own environment and cultivate a sense of community belonging through that. So I'll pause here and just maybe go around, and if you guys wouldn't mind just coming off camera briefly and introducing yourself and maybe saying a little bit about why you're here tonight. And I guess I'll start with Sue.
Sure. Hi everybody. My name's Sue Anderson. I moved to Durham about 3 years ago from Massachusetts. I've been working on becoming more active in the community for a while. It just takes a little bit to kind of readjust to a new place. I've always been interested in environmental issues and really like being a little more hands-on versus just maybe writing a check and or voting a certain way. So like the idea of actually getting to be out there and doing something. Thanks.
Awesome. Kara, I see you next.
Hello, I'm Kara Solomon. I work for the North Carolina Wildlife Federation, and I am going to be doing a lot of leading of trash cleanups and things. So I thought that this would be a really great way to get introduced to that. And we are starting a Durham chapter of our organization. And so we are very excited about this partnership and ways that we can get more volunteers involved in the Durham community. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, welcome. And I think we met in another meeting. But yeah, so this should be good. Good for you as just a little overview, especially when we're going into Big Sweep in October and community partners are doing cleanup events. So just to have a little prequel of how we like to do things. Merritt, I see you next.
I'm Merritt. I'm a senior in high school academy, and I'm the chair of the sustainability committee at Durham Academy. So we worked with Keep Durham Beautiful before, or at least used them as like a model. So, and I'm really just right now looking for a way to get involved in the community, and of course, like helping the environment and like conservation and all that stuff. That's like my interest. So I really wanted to find like a nonprofit that was involved with that, and I think Keep Durham Beautiful is really just the premier one in Durham and just around the area. So, um, yeah, that's why I'm getting involved.
Awesome. Thanks. So glad to have you. It feels especially nice when younger folks are getting involved. So, Allison, I see you next.
Hi, my name is Allison Steele, and I really am not sitting in the dark. The sun literally like just went behind a cloud or something. I'm a downtown resident. I'm a business owner, interior designer. Most of my projects have been in American Tobacco, and DPAC is one of my projects. So heavily involved in everything like downtown. As a resident, like I'm constantly like kind of picking up trash, like whenever I'm on foot. And I've worked and sit on a couple of committees with DDI, one of which was kind of, advocating and, getting them to clean up one of the construction parking lots that seems to get abused quite a bit with this new tower that's being built right over here. So, I'm just happy to have the time and availability to give back to the greater Durham community.
Awesome. Welcome. Corinne, is it Corinne or Corrine?
Corinne, yeah, thanks. Hi, everybody. I'm Corinne Haywood. I am a native Durhamite, born and raised. I work as a sustainability consultant for ERM, and part of my subject matter expertise is actually in waste management. So I do that a lot for work, but I've always sort of said that my like ideal job would be to pick up trash on the side of the road every day. So I actually used to work for the Ellerby Creek Waterside Association and also the Eno River Association as a festival coordinator. And I just recently moved back to Durham. So looking for a way to be involved and do something that I love.
Well, that's awesome. Some really great connections there. So hopefully we will find lots of ways that you can get plugged in with this. And Vicky, I think you are last but not least.
Yes, my name is Vicki, and I have lived in Durham about 20 years. And I did a lot of volunteering before COVID, and then, of course, everything closed down. So I've been trying to just get back into something. And this appeals to me because it's a lot of outdoors, so I like that. And I am like Allison. I'm always walking around with my plastic bags, picking up things, garbage, and along the road. So it's interest to me. And just Keep Durham Beautiful. I've just always liked their mission and followed them a lot. So yeah, so just looking forward to give back a little bit that way to the community.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank all of you for sharing. It was really great. I meant to ask if you do live in Durham, like what your neighborhood is, and you don't have to like come on and say it. You can put it in the chat if you're willing to share. But it's interesting to see like all of the different parts of Durham that like our volunteers come from. So with that, I'll go ahead and get started on the meat of the presentation. So who are litter leaders? Essentially, litter leaders are just volunteers committed to litter prevention in Durham. There are tons of different ways that you can participate in that venue, but essentially, litter leaders are trained on litter cleanup, operating procedures, safety, and leadership. I know sometimes like the volunteer leadership part can be the most daunting, but it's really kind of a each to his own ability sort of thing. Like if you have more confidence and more experience with like environmental education or leading groups, you can be a little more heavily involved with like, teaching groups of people at a litter cleanup about watershed education and things like that. But if you are, you just want to make your neighborhood cleaner, or you're here because you plan to lead cleanups with your own organization, like it's also a good way to like get connected with that kind of information. We have lots of people that have taken this training and then just sort of like, they help lead a cleanup and then borrow supplies and do their own sort of small thing in their neighborhood afterwards. And then some people go on and, they're like volunteers that lead a cleanup with us during every one of our major events. So we do need year-round support. I guess I should also say that Keep Durham Beautiful is a very, very small staff, which is why litter leaders are so important. It's just myself and Tanya, who is our executive director. And we work with around 5,000 to 6,000 volunteers every year. Anywhere from 80 to 90,000 pounds of trash collected over that time. And so there's a lot of work to be done and not very many paid staff to do it, even though like we work our butts off. There are certain times of year that are especially busy. If Corinne probably knows, like if you're in environmental or sustainability work, like spring and fall are really, really busy. We do a day of service in January for MLK Junior Day. We usually have, several, I think we probably had about 20 events this past year. Creek Week, which is the third week in March, which we tend to focus on water-based cleanups, but it's also just sort of the kickoff to the litter cleanup season because the weather's kind of nice enough again. The greenery isn't grown up like it is in this picture. It's a little easier to get in and to see the litter. Creek Week, we tend to have between 30 and 40 groups within literally a week period. And hundreds of volunteers, and so it's really helpful to have litter leaders be there to sort of go with those groups and make sure that everything's getting done well. Obviously Earth Month, super busy. 9/11 Day of Service is something that we're sort of trying to get more people interested in, the way that we have the MLK Day of Service. And then coming up, we've got Big Sweep in October, which is the entire month of October. And essentially we try to support and plan cleanups all over Durham. So, my goal this year is to have at least one cleanup in like every neighborhood, like district in Durham. I don't know if it's not every district in Durham necessarily needs a litter cleanup, but okay, so this sort of ties into what I asked you guys earlier. So why be a litter leader? Obviously, everyone's here because they cares about the environment, they care about people. You want to be a part of the solution. And some of you said you wanted to like foster community, make new friends. If you are in school, this is a great way to get service hours for school. You can plan events for your school and like borrow supplies from us. It's a really great look on your resume to have volunteer leadership. And then volunteering is just good for us. I'm sure you've all seen the studies of like how, it's a great way to make friends, to get yourself out, to be a part of the community. Everyone is lonelier these days, and getting out and volunteering gets you around other people, gets you outside. It's great for our mental and our physical health. So what kind of opportunities are available to litter leaders? So again, leading volunteer groups in either public or private cleanups, which the distinction between that is a public cleanup is when we just invite anybody to come to a cleanup, like it'll be posted on our events page. Anyone who wants to can sign up, and private cleanups are usually just groups that have reached out to us wanting a specific event for their corporate group or for their church or for their school, and those tend to be not open to the public. This will also enable you to lead your own cleanups on your own schedule. If you're, like I said, not as interested in, you know, being the liaison for a group, you know, you're more than welcome to take what you learn here and translate it into, we've had litter leaders that started with our Adopt a Street program after taking the training, because it sort of gets them better acquainted with our systems and how we work. We're also working with the Master Naturalist program to develop an anti-litter presentation that people can give to, you know, clubs and businesses around town. So if you really like presenting, that's something that you can reach out to us and offer. We also occasionally have tabling events and festivals where we just want people to hang out and talk to passersby about what Keep Durham Beautiful does. A little bit later, I'll show you guys our litter hotspot map and our hotspot information sheets, which is it's something that honestly needs a lot more work because the technology we were using for it is kind of outdated and it needs to be updated. But basically, we tried to keep a map of where the most littered spots in Durham are, so that, you know, if Vicky was like, I'm bored this Saturday, I want to go, you know, host a litter cleanup somewhere, where's the place that would have the most impact? And she could go on the map and say, oh, look, this place by Eno River is, you know, has been reported as being really littered, so I'll go there. And then eventually leading future litter leader trainings is a goal of the program. So lots of different ways, not just like leading groups and cleanups, that you can be involved. So typically, the way it works is I have an email list of everyone that's taken the training, and I'll send an email out about once a month with volunteer opportunities. And then you can just let me know if you're available. If there's a registration sign up online, you can do that. We try to have, if it's a litter leader led event, we like for you to have at least another person with you, just because it's a lot easier. As you'll see, we're going through all of the necessary pieces and parts of a litter cleanup. It's kind of hard to keep track. It's a little easier to have somebody with you to remind you. And then you just communicate with us for details and arranging supply pickup. All the supplies are here at our office at 2011 Fay Street. We're off of Cheek Road and East Gear, sort of in like central East Durham. And minimal requirements, just complete the training. If you can volunteer for 2 to 3 events per year, and then making sure that you bring back all the supplies, the results, and the sign-in waivers for the events afterwards. Any questions so far? I'm not moving too quickly, I hope. Right. So there's a few steps to leading a litter cleanup. Go through and let you guys look at that for a second, go through. So getting prepared. And, you know, I'm thinking for Kara, this would be a good layout too, for like if you're picking a place to do a cleanup for Big Sweep. So sometimes we will get a group that reaches out and says, we want to do like a particular area in Durham, or their offices are located off of, you know, TW Alexander or something. And we try to pick locations that are relevant to the groups that we're working with. I feel like it helps them notice more, you know, if they do a litter cleanup on the road that their office is located on. You know, I've had people tell me, wow, I had never noticed all of this litter before until I was actually out walking this road. And it really does have a big impact. So you can work with the group to pick a location. We can help you pick a location or pick something for you. Or, you know, if you noticed that there was a dump site behind your church and you want to lead a litter cleanup there, that's also fine. If you are working with an outside group and you choose to be the litter leader, we ask that you be the liaison with that group contact. Going out and getting familiar with the project site. So there's a lot of different things to think about. You've got to think about where volunteers are going to park, where they should meet you, whether there's bathrooms available, and like whether or not there's any specialty items that people should bring, or like, making sure that they're in pants and long sleeves if it's a location where there's lots of poison ivy, things like that. So making sure that you know the site or visit it beforehand at least once, just so that you know what to expect, so you can convey that information to the volunteers. And then the image here is an example of one of our hotspot maps. Longmeadow Park is a location where we take people quite often. The blue line down the center of the map is Goose Creek that runs through the park. There is unfortunately a large amount of unhoused folks that hang out in this park. And so a lot of their trash and their belongings ends up getting scattered throughout the creek. It floods pretty badly when there's rain, and then that brings like all of the trash from downtown Durham, as well as from the unhoused population, just comes flooding through. And so we could probably have a cleanup here every 2 weeks and get 20 bags of trash. But so these hotspot maps basically exist so that we can give you the information that we have about that site, like where the best place to pile trash is, where parking is, all of that. And we're always looking for people to sort of build out these hotspot maps for the places where we send people most often. So we take care of getting the supplies ready. And if you're leading the group, you would just come by and pick it up from our office. If office hours are too difficult, we have an outdoor drop box for after hours pickups. And the kits just include everything listed here: litter grabbers, gloves, vests. We give you a bag to put dirty gloves and vests in, as well as 2 different kinds of trash bags, a first aid kit, a sign-in waiver, safety guidelines, and a reporting form. So this is what our waiver looks like. You'll get a printed version of this on a clipboard. The email, I usually tell people email is, not required. We do sign people up for our newsletter if they give us our email on this. But it's the newsletter only comes out twice a month. It's got lots of ways to get involved in Durham, and I write it, so I'm kind of biased, but I think it's a pretty great newsletter. But this is our hold harmless agreement and also our photo release. And also it helps us track the number of people that are attending events. So as some of you probably know, like, data is really important, and being able to track that is really important to the programming. You don't have to read all of this now. You'll get a copy of it both at an event, and we have it in our resource folder that we'll send to you after the training. But this is all of our safety guidelines. And then this is an example of what the litter results card looks like. I really need to update this because I think this is our older one. But so basically, we just want you to let us know, like, do a count of volunteers, tell us how many people there are, count up the number of bags that you collected. We've invested in a collection of fishing scales, so you can hang the bags from the scale and tell about how much it weighs. We used to estimate, so yeah, you can tell this is old. We used to estimate that a bag of trash was about 20 pounds, but on further investigation, we found that actually the average is closer to 12 to 15. And so we were kind of over-reporting our numbers a little bit. So I've taken to weighing the bags at every event just because it's really hard to tell. Like some bags are 5 pounds, some bags are 25 pounds. So getting started, and I should say, like, all of this information, I know it's a lot, but it's going to be in the resource manual that I send you guys afterwards. There'll be like a timeline and examples of everything that you're seeing here. So don't feel like you have to absorb all of this now. There's no test at the end. So I like to arrive early just so that I have time to get all the supplies set out and, pick my gathering place, have the clipboard ready so that you can have participants sign in as they get there. Give your introduction, which the introduction part will be on the next slide. Pass out the supplies, and then making sure that you try to get a good group photo before everyone spreads out. A lot of events, people will sort of come and go. You might have fewer people at the end than you did at the beginning. So I like to get a good beforehand picture. Make sure before you split up that you tell everyone when to meet back. That way they know when to come and meet you. You know, circulate throughout the event just to make sure that everyone's doing okay. And, you know, if things are going well, you can join in the cleanup yourself, which is my favorite part. I can't remember who it was that said they really like picking up trash. Like, I would love it if I could just get paid to pick up trash all day. That would be ideal. So back to the introduction. It's basically just introducing yourself and saying a few words about Keep Durham Beautiful. It can be as simple as you want it to be. If you don't like public speaking and you just want to be like, hey, I'm Corinne. I'm with this organization and we're doing a cleanup in this park and KDB is the sponsor and that's it. Like, that's fine. I'll go over a little bit of stuff about watershed information later, but you know, any information that you have about the site that you can let people know, it sort of gives them a better sense of where they are and why what they're doing is important. So we really like to do placemaking when we can in our events. Other parts of your introduction, you're going to talk about logistics. So where to pile the full trash bags. You want to make sure you give everyone a place to put those before they start coming to you with full trash bags. And then, as I said, we use 2 different kinds of bags. We separate trash and recycling. So we put trash in black bags and recycling in white or clear bags. We'll go into that a little more later, but recycling, the sorting out the recycling is probably the most difficult part with volunteers because not everyone has an understanding of what is and is not recyclable. So typically we tell people just bottles and cans, nothing dirty or full of dirt. And then paper products are pretty much always too degraded to be recycled. So most often those also need to go into the trash. And then a little bit about safety instructions, which is on the next slide. So if any of you have ever done a litter cleanup before or any kind of outdoor activity, you know that safety is paramount. So making sure, especially if you're doing a roadside cleanup, that people know to be aware of their surroundings. If there's traffic, you know, make sure to look both ways before crossing the street. Poison ivy, especially this time of year, is a big hurdle. I will usually try to find an example to show people because not everyone knows what it looks like. A lot of people also don't know what fire ant hills look like, so I'll try to find one of those and point it out because there's nothing worse than stumbling onto one and not realizing until they've swarmed up your leg. We do ask people not to put sharp or really heavy objects in a trash bag. Everything doesn't have to be in a bag. It's okay to have like a separate pile of unbagged bulky items. If there's anything that people are uncomfortable picking up, that's fine. You know, sometimes you might find roadkill. You don't necessarily need to put that in the bag. I usually just move it further back into the woods so that it can continue to degrade naturally. Unfortunately, we do occasionally find needles. Depends on where you are in Durham. Certain parks are worse than others. We usually tell people to find a plastic bottle that has a cap. Carefully put the needle in the bottle using your grabber. You can have somebody else like help you holding the bottle if they need, and then put the cap on it and throw it in the trash. Don't recycle it. Obviously, summertime's hot, making sure people stay hydrated, making sure they've got appropriate clothing. If it's raining, drizzling, it's sort of up to you whether or not you and your volunteers are hardy enough to keep going. If it's just a sprinkle and you are fine with it, you're more than welcome to keep going. We just ask that, if it's really pouring down, and there's, like flood hazard, or if there's lightning, that you stop working. And then a hat and sunscreen, I pretty much always have at a litter cleanup because my hair gets everywhere. So back to those educational talking points. And again, this is something that, if this is only for your edification, that's fine. If you want to incorporate it into your own cleanups, that's great. But I find that it's a really great way of explaining to people how far the impact can be of litter, and like, what the project is that they're working on. So if you haven't heard of a watershed before, you can basically think of the land as like a bowl. So when it rains, all of the water that flows into a given area, into a given body of water, is that body's watershed. Also, like rivershed or river basin is another, like the bigger step up. So there is this really great map, which I will send this presentation out afterwards, that has the link. And you can go to this map and put in the address of wherever it is you're doing your cleanup and see which watershed you're in. The City of Durham Stormwater website has a list of the watersheds and where the water goes. So for example, our watershed, and where honestly we do most of our cleanups, is in the Ellerby Creek watershed, this little yellow in the middle of Durham County. So within that watershed, when it rains, all the water flows to Falls Lake, which is the drinking water for Raleigh. So that's a really important piece to people, I think, to connect, the trash they see on the side of the street with the water that they drink or that their neighbors drink. Everything's connected, and, we may be 300 miles from the beach, but trash from Durham can and does make it all the way to the Atlantic Ocean. We also have small maps of this watershed that we can give you if you want it to sort of like have to show people, because it's, really great to be able to point out on the map and say, this is where we are. Look how close we are to Falls Lake. And I think that especially if you have a group of people that are from Durham, encouraging them to find their watershed on the map is also really fun. And especially with a younger crowd, you may want to do some talking points about what litter is. I think it's kind of been drilled into a lot of us at this point that litter is bad. It's unsightly. It has all of these negative effects on the environment. But especially with like younger kids, really driving home those negative impacts. It's not just that it doesn't look nice. It does have very real world impacts on our environment. So we have, we've done our introduction, we've done our cleanup. It's time to start finishing up. So again, start, wandering around 10 to 15 minutes before the event's scheduled to end. And just let people know that, hey, there's 10 minutes left if you want to finish that bag and bring it back to the start. Collect your supplies, encouraging volunteers to help you. So putting all of the dirty items in the blue mesh bag, putting the litter grabbers back into the orange mesh bag. If you had any latecomers that didn't sign in and you want to capture their information, have them sign in. And then piling the trash. So this picture is a good illustration of the way that we like the trash piles to look. And I'll go over why in a little bit. So nice separate piles of recycling, trash, and the unbagged items, and a spot that is like easy to reach for a truck. Making sure that you count all of the bags. If you have a scale weighing them, I usually find it easiest to just like make a list of the weights and then add them all up at the end. And then taking an after picture like you see with the trash. Sometimes people can be weird about getting a picture with trash, and I just tell them to pretend it's like a fish they caught and is for their dating profile. So to go back a little bit and talk about separating out trash and recycling. So a lot of you are probably familiar with what is and is not able to go into your municipal bin, and we're looking for the same things. So we don't want any non-recyclable plastics like cups, lids, straws, food wrappers. We pretty much just want bottles and cans, which is the majority of the recyclable items that you're going to find anyways. And here, oh yeah, my little quiz. So if anyone wants to chime in, would this be trash or recycling? You can also.
Recycle.
Yep. All right, what about this plastic bag?
Trash.
Trash.
Yeah. What about this chip bag?
Trash.
Also trash.
Trash. All right, broken bottle. This is
Recycle.
Trash.
kind of a tricky one. Yeah.
Oh,
So broken bottles can be, if it's in a creek and it's just straight up glass, I will usually just instruct people to leave it because it's, you know, it's an inert material that's just going to break down into sand at some point. If it is somewhere on a sidewalk where it's posing a danger, you can sort of put it aside. Sometimes we have buckets that we bring to events for sharp objects like that. But if you've got like a big fluffy bag that you can put it in sort of the center to make sure that it doesn't poke out the bag and cut somebody. So this is sort of it depends on the situation. All right, an aluminum can.
Recycle.
recycle.
Cigarette butts.
Trash.
Definitely trash. Number one most littered item, if you didn't know. I think this is a like a beer carton thing. So paperboard.
Trash.
Recycle.
Yeah. If it was dry and in good condition, I would say recycle. But here, if it's like wet and dirty, I would put that in the trash. All right. This dirty bottle filled with a mystery fluid.
Trash.
Trash.
Yeah, I would put it in trash. If you find a bottle that has liquid in it and you're not willing or brave enough to open it and pour it out, you should put that in the trash. If it's obvious what it is, I will usually, you know, if it's just like a water bottle with a little water in it, I will open it up, pour it out, and then recycle the bottle. But it's a choose your own adventure sort of thing with that. What about this wax paper cup?
Trash.
Very good. Plastic silverware or utensil.
I'm gonna say trash.
Trash.
Yep. All right. So a little tiny recycling FAQ there. So back to separating out the trash piles. So one of the most important parts of our partnership is with the City of Durham Neighborhood Improvement Services. So even though we're a nonprofit, we are housed within the City of Durham's General Services Department. So we get some support from the city, and we also get to use services like this thanks to that partnership. So after you pick up your trash and pile it, we contact the neighborhood improvement services and they send their impact team to pick up the trash. So it's a really, really crucial and important part of what we do. And because of that, we want to make it as easy as possible for the people that are coming to pick the trash up. So, which is why we say like nice, neat piles like this, making sure that all of the bags have been tied closed. Pick a location that is visible, that is accessible from the street, because they're going to be picking it up in a vehicle, sometimes in a large bucket truck with a grapple arm. If it's a large amount of trash, they'll use that bucket truck, and they need a location that doesn't have low-lying tree limbs or power lines. So this is why I say, like, when you go ahead and you're doing your scouting, trying to pick a location to put the trash ahead of time is really important. And then following up with Keep Durham Beautiful staff afterwards to let us know where the trash is so that we can let neighborhood improvement services know. And finally, you know, after you're all done, take your pictures and share. You can either just send them directly to us and we'll use them for volunteer shout outs in our newsletter, on social media. You know, we use them for, you know, things like this, for presentations, and also to apply for grants and things like that. If you have your own accounts, you can share them. There's no requirement or obligation to do that, just if you're comfortable. And then the really important part, doing the recording. So again, we've got the, you know, if you're just doing an event that you didn't have a bunch of supplies already for us, from us, you can do an online reporting form. But most instances, you will have that results card that you would fill out and send back along with the supplies. I meant to take this slide out. I will include this, the sample introduction script in the manual. Then you guys can look through it afterwards, just for, you know, if you decide that you want to join a cleanup. So I know I just dumped a lot of information on you. Do I have any questions right off the bat?
I have kind of like a side question. I know that who is the recycling vendor that the recycling goes to? Do you know?
I know that for Durham, it's not Sunoco anymore. I
Okay.
think I can't remember. It's not Waste Reduction Partners. I can't remember the new vendor for Durham off
I
the
was
top
just
of my
wondering
head.
because I know, like, at least in my line of work, a lot of recycling vendors won't accept recycling that's in garbage bags like that. I mean, I know we don't really have any other option as far as like capture or collecting the
Yeah,
recycling. I just know that they've gotten like extremely picky about like contamination, and technically garbage bags are considered contamination. So
yeah, for sure.
anyway,
We
that's all I
the
had.
bags are just for collecting. So when we put them in a bin, we actually like empty the bag, and then if it's me, I'll, you know, clean the bag out and let it dry to use for another cleanup, because I don't like sending, you know, still
Empty
good
bag.
bags to the
Yeah.
landfill. And that's something that I didn't really touch on, that I keep meaning to add to the presentation, but making sure that the bags are as full as possible without, you know, like bursting them, because trash bags do cost money, and it's plastic that we don't want to send to the landfill if we don't have to. So just what I'll usually do is I will consolidate trash bags for people. Like, I'll walk around with a bag and just have them dump their bag into mine and keep cleaning um, until the bag is full, and then tie it up. Um, so yeah, tomorrow I will send an email with the resource folder. Is a Google folder with everybody. And the next Litter Leader email that I send out will be sometime the first week of August. There will be a few opportunities there for people to get involved. If you, you know, if you're just interested in borrowing supplies to do your own thing, that's also fine too. You can just let us know. We have a tool lending library form online that you can fill out anytime, just to let us know that you need supplies. And then for people that are interested in, you know, leading their own groups, we do ask that you do a shadow, so that you just basically join a staff member or another leader on a cleanup, just to see how things are done. And it, you know, it clears up a lot of, it's easier. You have all of this information and then you do it, and it's a little bit easier to go through. Awesome. I think I made it. I think we did have one person sign off already, but I like getting through these a little bit sooner. So feel free to take the feedback survey if you're interested. And while that's up there, I wanted to touch on a couple of other litter prevention programs that we have. So I already mentioned the tool lending library. That's open to anybody in Durham that needs it, and it's both litter cleanup supplies and gardening supplies. So we have shovels, we have like a rototiller, we have an electric weed eater, shovels and rakes, things like that, open for anybody to use. We have a litter kits in schools program where we basically have donated litter kits to schools in Durham so that students can do litter pickups around campus. And we have our Adopt a Street program where you basically sign up online to adopt a particular area in Durham, about a mile of street, and then do monthly cleanups and report on that. And those are all ways that you can, participate and use what we have here at Keep Durham Beautiful to make your own impacts in the community. And that's it. So any questions from you guys that are left? Any thoughts? I guess I can stop recording.
Don, how long is a typical event?